already gone ahead and done sort of my foundation, just because my skin's really terrible at the minute and I really don't want to go through having to explain why and all that jazz. But I went in with the Born to Glow foundation, so I'm now going to go in with the NYX Born to Glow concealer in the shade of, I think this is like Albatross, oh no, Vanilla, sorry. These are really nice because they're on a, well, I don't know, you kind of either love or hate these. You either hate or love these. I'm going to put some concealer here and then put some concealer here as well. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about something that's a bit more personal than usual. So I've had what I didn't realise at the time was health anxiety, and sort of looking back on where this all stemmed from. Even as a kid, I was always sort of very conscious of my health. I was always very self-conscious of, you know, my family's health, and I think for me personally it was just an accumulation of that type of thinking and that sort of habit of thinking, which is, you know, sort of led to more issues now, I guess. Now along the way as well, there's been some really difficult journeys. I had you know, as a family we experienced loss from a very close family member that sort of was the rock for the whole family, if I'm honest. So that didn't help as well, and we were sort of on the journey through that, and because that happened, you know, whatever happened very quickly. It was quite a shock factor for us, and I do believe that that also sort of dented or made sort of a dent or pushed me towards being a bit more anxious and a bit more conscious of my health. So health anxiety to me is, I believe health anxiety is like an umbrella term. So you get illness anxiety disorder, and then I think you get somatic symptom disorder. Illness anxiety is where you're afraid to be ill, you're very anxious about getting ill, getting something quite terrible. And somatic symptom disorder is interesting because nobody really, like, you get body symptoms, so like aching joints, so kind of like the symptoms of fibromyalgia, if you've ever come across that before. You get real physical symptoms, but there's absolutely no like medical explanation for them whatsoever, and you can do as many tests and, you know, whatever, and it all comes back absolutely fine, but you're feeling as though you actually have something and you're ill, essentially. So I believe health anxiety is sort of a, I'm not sure how the DSM categorises it, if I'm quite honest, but I know that I have health anxiety. So for me, I'm sort of a combination of the both. I do worry about getting ill. Not necessarily for things like colds and flus and stuff like that, because I'm like, I've had it, you know, experience has told me that I've been fine so far, that sort of thing. I just worry more so about having something really terrible and really sinister. And I also do, I believe, have a bit of, you know, I do experience somatic symptom disorder, so I have symptoms most of the time. Often sort of aching muscles and joints, tiredness, again the typical sort of symptoms of fibromyalgia, which I don't have, and there's no medical explanation for them. I'm going to talk about sort of some of the past weeks, so like since we've been in lockdown, and you know, to be honest, this has been a difficult time for absolutely everybody, so this is not me sort of saying, you know, well, it's been difficult for me, but for a lot of people I feel like lockdown has been the straw that sort of broke the camel's back. I'm going to go in with powder and just powder sort of my T-zone using the LA Girl Pro Face Powder. This is so good, and it's so inexpensive as well. So yeah, for me personally, it started off with obviously coronavirus, and that was embarrassing. And for me personally, due to the nature of how I process things in terms of like my thinking patterns, the slightest cough, the slightest sort of comment about how hot somebody is, anything like that at all, I just immediately defaulted to, well, you have coronavirus and I need to plan in advance for it, that sort of thing. Poor Ben had just like the worst time of his life ever throughout that. He couldn't breathe or do anything. I'm just going to powder very quickly, and I'm going to take, not powder, sorry, bronze, using the Wet n Wild coloured bronzing brick. This is really nice. It's in What Shady Beaches. Ah, I get it. You shady bitches. This is too dark for me, so I'm going to go in with a light hand. So yeah, that was that, and then eventually I managed to sort of get over it, and I sort of learned from experience that, you know, not everything is coronavirus related, and that you can cough and generally just have, you know, normal symptoms without defaulting to you have coronavirus. Now at the time as well, and I spoke about this a bit more in a different video, so I won't talk about it as much in this one, but I went through a period of being very tired very quickly. I had loads of muscle aches, I had, you know, my appetite went, I had terrible headaches, and it just wasn't me, basically. So anyway, before that I had an issue with my B12, and then that was sort of playing up. However, for, I'm going to say, a typical person, would be like, do you know what, it's just my B12 levels playing up, I'm just going to go and get them sorted, and that's that, and we'll get better. But they can still live a normal life and sort of live a functional life, you know. It doesn't affect too much of, you know, what they're doing. If you're wondering, by the way, I like to go in really messy with my bronzer and then tidy it up afterwards, so if you're wondering why I look a bit strange, to give it on my nose as well. It look like I've been out in the sun. I'm going to go in my foundation brush and just sort of go around the edges, just so it softens everything and sort of takes any colour out that is a little bit too pigmented, so like on my cheeks. So yeah, a typical person would be like, it's just my B12 playing up, blah blah blah. Now for me personally, with my thinking, I default to the worst possible case scenario. So I went through the phase of thinking that I had MS, which is multiple sclerosis. I then, whilst that was, I sort of take an idea and I'm like, right, I've got this, and I'll obsess over it such a long time, and I'll look and I'll selectively seek information that sort of fits what I'm thinking, and those are irrational thoughts, they're cognitive biases, you know. So I thought I had MS, and then I went onto Facebook one day, and one of my friends shared a story of this young girl who was my age. She was, you know, very fit and healthy, and she developed something called ALS, which is, I'm not sure what it stands for actually. I should, because I've looked this up so many times, but yeah, it's called ALS, and it's basically what Stephen Hawking had, essentially. And I then started thinking, oh my god, and I was looking at the symptoms and I was sort of searching it up, and I was like, oh my god, what if I have ALS? This girl's had it, you know, it happened to her very quickly at her age, I'm her age. Yeah, okay, it's not a common thing and it's incredibly rare for somebody my age, but it still happens, therefore I could be that one person out. So, you know, already I was sort of showing these cognitive distortions. I'm going to go with a bit of blush, by the way. I'm going to take this, oh crap, lace blush palette that looks like this, and I'm going to take a mixture of the orange and the coral shade and just sort of dab in between two, and I'm going to sort of take it up the cheekbone. Oh, postman's outside. I'm going to sort of take it up the cheekbone just so that it sort of frames the cheeks a little bit nicer. So yeah, I'll talk about a bit more about the impact of Google and websites and stuff like that shortly, but what I was doing is I was sat for hours and hours, and that's not even an exaggeration, guys. I was sat for hours online searching up these symptoms, looking at people's stories, and I convinced myself I had it. And eventually what starts to happen is you start to see yourself showing more of the symptoms. So for example, with ALS, I didn't have something called twitching, and twitching is meant to be like the very final stage of knowing when you have ALS or something like that anyway. And then I started to have twitching in every part of my body, I could see it, and I'd never had twitching before, and it was just the most, my Alexa's going to go off in a minute because the postman, it was just like the most, motion detected at the front door. It was like the most strangest, surrealist time, and I thought, oh my god, I definitely have it now, this is terrible. And then it doesn't just stop there, because you're kind of like, right, I need to go and see a medical professional very quickly, and I need it now. Then start to think about the whole future, and you think, oh my god, what if I can't live my future, and you know, I'm going to have all this taken away from me, and there was so much that I wanted to do. And you could just imagine how exhausting this is, to spend a whole of your day, you know, I got to the point, guys, where I was waking up, I was going to bed at night, and I was petrified that I wasn't going to be here in the morning. And then I'd get up in the morning, and the first thing that I would do is check for whatever symptom I had the previous day. And it got to the point once where the tingling and the pins and needles and the twitches were so bad that I thought I couldn't feel my legs, and I wouldn't move, I wouldn't walk, but I could. It was, if anything, it's taught me that actually my mind has got so much power over my body, that it's actually really scary. And I think often as well, what we tend to do, people with anxiety, and more specifically health anxiety, sorry, I'm trying to find a brush. I'm just going to take this e.l.f. jelly highlighter. I don't know what shade this is in, but it looks like this. I haven't tried this for a while, but I know the last time I tried this, I really didn't like it. I'm not a fan of jelly. I'm not a fan of jelly. I'm going to try a smidge though, and I'm going to try like the most thinnest part. It's like something out of Avatar now. This is why I shouldn't have used it, and why I didn't like it in the first place. Right, I'm just going to tap it on. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, I'm just going to tap it on, guys, and then take like a little brush like this, and maybe let's not use a stippling brush again. The reason I didn't like this though is as soon as you put it down, it sticks. And there's no like maneuverability with it, so that's really annoying. And I don't think I'm going to use that again. I find it really crazy how much control my mind had over my body. So that was that. And then as per usual, it went. And it's almost like I become so obsessed with these different diseases and disorders and life sentences, what I thought, that in the end I just end up becoming so exhausted, I exhaust myself of all of my resources, all of my strength and all of my energy. I get it back up again, and as soon as I've got the tiniest bit of charge, I'm back onto the next obsession with something else. So it's like if you charge your phone and you know when it's like fully out of battery, you stick it on charge for a little bit, and then you see the Apple sign come up and you've got a little bit of charge in your phone and you start texting again. It's kind of like that, to be fair. And eventually you get into this pattern and you get into this cycle, and it's a very unhealthy, you know, malfunctioning cycle, and it's not good at all. And I don't think anybody would you know, pass it off as being good, because it's not. It's horrendous and horrifying. I'm going to take a bit of the Wet n Wild highlighting powder in Bloom Time. This is my favourite highlighter of all time. Just go over that jelly highlighter, hoping that it will sort of fill in the gaps. Go drag that on my cheeks, and then just down my nose and on my cuppa's there and that stuff. So yeah, so then some time went by, and interestingly I had about a week where I felt really good and I didn't feel anxious. And do you know what, this is the funniest thing, the week where I had like time off everything and I felt really good and I felt really happy and I didn't feel anxious and I felt like the old me, it was that much of a shock to my system that it put me back into an anxious spiral, because I didn't know why I felt good. Do you know what I mean? Like who who does that? Somebody with health anxiety does that. So anyway, I was back onto the next sort of thing, and I was just having sort of random spats of panic attacks. I didn't know why, because I wasn't feeling anxious, that sort of thing. I had a lot of nocturnal panic attacks as well. Which is basically where you have them in your sleep, and I don't know why. As far as I'm aware, I haven't got sleep apnea or anything like that, where I think it's like where your throat closes up. I don't know. I don't want this to be like a massive trigger for anybody, because knowing me, if somebody said that and I was watching them, I'd be the first one to research it and think that I have it. So yeah. Anyway, so that was that. I was having a lot of nocturnal panic attacks. It was happening at night quite frequently. It would affect my quality of sleep. And then before you know it, I started to dwindle again. And during this time, I convinced myself I had something called, I think it's called adrenal fatigue, which is where I think you have too much or too little cortisol, so like your stress hormone, floating around your body, and it can be really dangerous. Just quickly, I'm going to go in and do my lips, because I like to do my lips before I like doing anything else. I don't know why. I'm going to take the Helen E lip liner in shade 5A, and then I'm going to take the lipstick in Frappe. I made an order with them the other day. I'm going to try and use one of the pigments today, and I love her products. Like, they are such good quality. Right, eyebrows. I need my soap for my eyebrows. So I have done a video on this, so I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing. I will link it down below. But I will continue talking, because my main focus for this today... Where is my spoolie? So yeah, I'm not going to talk about this too much today, because my main focus of this video is just to talk a bit about my health anxiety sort of story. So I'm just going to continue, but if you want to know what I'm doing, I will link the link down below. Yeah, so where was I? So anyway, yeah, I thought I had something called adrenal fatigue, and again, it was that whole process of, I'm not actually showing symptoms at the minute, but what if I have this and it's happening behind the scenes and this sort of thing. So anyway, that was that. And then I went to my parents for the weekend, and they hadn't long bought a hot tub, so everything was like, oh, this is so relaxing and lush. Yeah, that didn't happen, because I got back home. So I think I left on the Monday, and Tuesday night, my body started, like, I don't know, it just felt really hot, and I thought, what, okay, this is interesting, maybe I just need to open a window sort of thing. And then my whole body started to get itchy. Now, I have always had something called hives, and it's just my body basically doesn't know what on earth is doing. Well, no, it does, but it's just an immune response to an allergen, essentially. And I've always had an allergy, and I'm not even joking, to heat. So, well, not necessarily to heat, but to extreme temperatures. So, for example, when I go to the gym and my body heats up very, very quickly, my body doesn't really know what to do. And it almost freaks out, and then it comes out in hives. But it's usually, you know, sort of on a very small, I was going to say thin basis. It's on a very small basis, and it doesn't bother me too much. I just have like a little patch of what looks like stinging nettle rashes. And anyway, I think we were watching a movie, and we sort of got up to get a drink, and we were like, yeah. And I just went to go and check myself in the mirror, and all around my groin area was like I had been rolling in stinging nettles. And the rash, I have never, like, I will try and put up some pictures on the screen. Obviously it was much worse than this, because I'm not going to photograph everything. It wasn't in the most modest of areas. But I have never had a hive outbreak like that before. It was frightening. It really, really scared me. Everything was red, everything was like raised and heated, it was scratchy, it was rare. And before I even had a chance to sort of process exactly what was going on, I had a panic attack, and I was like, oh, right. And the typical thing of panic attacks is you always sort of fear them happening again, so you've always got it in sort of the back of your mind somewhere. But for some reason, I didn't know what was happening to me, and I didn't recognise that I was having a panic attack. Like, calm down, you're just freaking out, you're just panicking. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I was like, I feel like I'm going into, is it anaphylactic shock or something like that? I can, again, the same process of, I defaulted to the worst possible case scenario of thinking that I was going into shock because I'd eaten something or come across something. Now, I ended up finding out later on that I developed something called hot tub, is it folliculitis or something like that? And it's basically where bacteria gets into your pores and it irritates everything. So the hives that I had come up were in response to something from the hot tub, and the main sort of conclusion to that was also kind of backed by what my doctor was saying, but the areas in which the hives were sort of breaking out, so a lot of it was around the, well, like where you'd have a bikini basically. It was all in my groin, my chest. I remember being in the hot tub and it was even in my hair, you know, at the back of my head, not the top. All that had come out in the itchiest, most like volatile lumps ever. It was horrendous. So that was that. Now, when I was in the hot tub, there was nobody around, so I took my bikini top off and just, you know, as people wouldn't, well, I regret it now, to be honest. And the same night of coming up in this rash, I felt a lump behind thy nip, and it freaked me out, and I was like, okay, defaulted to the worst case possible scenario, which would have been breast cancer. That feels weird saying that because I tend to avoid saying these things because I don't want to hear about them. So yeah, I defaulted to that, and I am not kidding you guys. I talk about all the time. I'm just going to fill in my little beauty spot I have here, by the way. I talk all the time about how it was the worst experience of my life and blah, blah, blah. This was probably, even thinking back to my very first panic attack where I ended up in A&E, that was not fun and embarrassing. This was the most scariest and most upsetting and testing time of my life, because again, I only had a lump, I didn't have anything else, which was obviously good news, or it should have been reassuring news, but again, I didn't believe it. I again did the same process of, I'm just going to brush my hair because I'm talking. I did the same process of thinking I have something and then seeking information and searching my environment for information that fitted my agenda and fitted my thoughts. So yeah, any positives that I could have taken from it I ignored, and just completely ignored, because it was just horrendous. Every day I was crying, every day I was touching it, I was feeling it. I was, again, doing the whole thing of looking online and seeing about different stories. I was joining all of these different groups. My doctor wasn't fussed, and that made me worse because it made me think, well, what if I have got something and they're going to be the ones to blame for, you know, not picking up on early detection, you know, that sort of thing. It was just a really horrible time. And I found it on the Thursday, so all this happened like on the Thursday, and then on the Tuesday I managed to book a private appointment basically to see a consultant and to also get an ultrasound. And I couldn't have a mammogram, well, it wouldn't be any point having a mammogram because you know, younger people's breast tissue tends to be a lot thicker and denser. Just quickly as well, I've done my eyebrows, believe it or not. I'm going to go into the Perception palette here from Shayla and Colourpop. I haven't used this for such a long time, so I'm going to today. Look how beautiful. I'm going to take Culture, which is this like sandy colour, and I'm not doing anything mesmerising. I just want to fill in the lid, and then I'm going to take the Helen E pigment. I think this is Mango. There you go, Mango. And just pop that into my tear duct area because I really like that like pop of colour. I think it looks really nice, but we'll see. So yeah, what was I? So I booked this appointment, and basically I was like, oh my god, I've got a week till this appointment. How am I going to live? Like, this is just going to be horrendous. I can't stop thinking about it. I wouldn't eat because it made me feel sick. I developed really bad stomach problems because it made me feel sick, and every morning. And then again, it was sort of fitting this agenda of me thinking I have something really bad that I can't recover from, and you know, all these other symptoms happening, and it was just like me thinking, oh my god, you know, something's spread or it's got worse and this and that. And as I'm sort of talking, oh balls to it guys, we're going to go all out today. I'm going to take Played Out, which is a really beautiful like dark brown plum colour, and just go on the outer part of my eye. So yeah, as I'm sort of telling you this now, I'm not embarrassed by it as such. Like, I've never really felt all that embarrassed apart from going to A&E, thinking I was dying and I was just having a panic attack. But generally, because this is my life, you know, I don't really see it as embarrassing because I don't really know any differently. And I thought everyone thought like this. I really, you know, I really did think everybody thought like this, which is quite a sad way, because this is like my way of thinking. Now anyway, I pushed to get into the doctors, and I was like, please can you just see me, because I don't know if this lump moves. It didn't feel like it moved, it didn't feel anything, it felt hard, it felt all these different things. And again, I'd been online, I'd self-diagnosed myself, of course, because I'm the most reliable doctor, honest to God. And I was like, please can you just come in and feel it and just tell me if it's mobile or not, because if you, like, your idea of what is mobile and what's immobile might be completely different to mine. So I just wanted, you know, her to check that out really. And she wasn't fussed. I went in for an examination. She was like, yeah, there's nothing concerning, you know, just give it a month so that you're, I'm going to go back in with culture and a bit of thick, which is the orange. Yeah, she was like, you know, I'm not bothered, I'm not worried. Give it a month, wait for a cycle to go by and see if it goes down. If it doesn't, then we come back in, you know, sort of standard practice. So anyway, she did give me some antibiotic cream, because I did mention to her that I had Hopto folliculitis and that it was like really bad and horrible. And she said, here, have some antibiotic cream. And I was using that for 5 days, and touch wood, everything has gone. The whole ball went. It's just like squishy tissue now. And I have, this sounds really gross, so sorry, but it is a fact of life, you know, that I have quite lumpy tissue, and that is just how it is. My mum has it, my nan used to have it, and, you know, it is what it is. So, yes. Right, I'm just going to take the Helen E Cosmetics Pigment in Mango. I love these. These are so blendable. They are so pigmented and neon and amazing. The only downside that I absolutely hate to them is you think that you've got all of this and you haven't. You've got like literally one small little sort of pot, I guess. Just thought I'd zoom you in actually, it makes everything look a bit easier. So yeah, I'm just taking this on a shader brush and, oh, snap. It's a bit more pigmented than what I thought it was the other day, damn it, never mind. So yeah, I can't remember where I was, antibiotic cream. It went within a few days, and I could only just put it down to the fact that maybe I had an infected duct, pore, that sort of thing. I had something very scary at the time as well, which was called depersonalization, and I've had this since I was young. I didn't know what it was at the time, and it was really scary actually, and I had it not so long ago as well, so it's come back to haunt me, to say the least. I'm just going to take a bit of just like a shimmery shade. I don't know if that's doing anything actually. Okay, I'm just going to take a pencil and brush actually, and I'm going to take a bit of Unbothered, which is just this like shadowy shade, and just put that underneath my eyebrow. Currently a bit odd, like I don't really know how I feel at the minute. I do feel less anxious than normal. I went for the best massage today. Oh my god, it was phenomenal. I'm going to do my eyeliner using the Helene Cosmetics liner, which is a really good liner, can I just add. So yeah, I went for a massage today. I was super tense, and I was like, right, tell me something I don't know. So yeah, looking back, guys, like, if you are, you know, I've been in this health anxiety game for a long time, and I'm still learning how to deal with it, and I'm still learning different things. Oh Christ. But if it's something that you think you have, I mean, most people I talk to don't even know what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like, what is health anxiety? It's like, well, I'm exceptionally worried about my health, and, you know, it affects my daily functioning. And they're like, well, doesn't that happen to everyone? And I'm like, no, not on the scale that it happens to me, because mine's terrible. But generally, I knew that I had health anxiety from a few different things. One was I became obsessed with certain diseases or disorders or something, and I'd sort of interchange, so I'd go from, I don't know, like MS to ALS to cancer to that sort of thing, sporadically, or I'd go from ALS to MS back to ALS again and that sort of thing. The second thing that I notice is that I'm very selective with the information that fits my agenda. So everyone has cognitive biases, do you know what I mean? Like, we all want to be correct, and we all want to have that control over our life, especially when you feel like you haven't got the control there anyway. Also, I've put mascara on already. It's still on from earlier because I went out for a massage today. So yeah, I'm not going to do too much with that. But I am going to put some eyelashes on, and I'm going to take the Miami lashes from Lily Lashes on my duo glue. Seek out information that sort of fitted with my agenda, and I'd paint a picture of it, I'd run away with that picture, and come to the complete wrong conclusion of things. And every time it turned out to be not what I thought it was, despite me thinking that I'm correct all the time, and that obviously just was not the case at all. Very lastly, amongst other things as well, but just what I can think of off the top of my head, I would default to the worst scenario possible. Yeah, there you go. So for example, if I have something like a stomach ache, I think that I've got stomach, I don't know, cancer, or I've got something that means I'm not going to be able to live the rest of my life. And whilst it probably seems funny to some people, that is my life, and that is genuinely how I think. Like, people are like, stop being such a hypochondriac, and, you know, don't be so silly. And I'm like, yeah, but this is how I think. Do you know what I mean? That's like me asking you to think the opposite of what you think. It's a very difficult thing to do, and you have to train your mind to stop thinking in a particular way. So yeah, sometimes people just have stomachache for no reason. Some people get health issues, some people get muscle aches for no reason. Sometimes people have slept funny, they've walked funny, like without realising they've sat more towards one side, or they've stood more on one side, or they've driven funny, they've put their hands funny. Like, we are such active people, and even if you're not, and you're sat on a sofa every day, all day, you are still going to get some issues come up, because it's just human, it's just who we are. And to default to the worst possible case scenario, well, first of all, is just absolutely exhausting, but also it's not always correct. This is a top underneath here, by the way, if anyone's watching, if anyone's wondering even. Right, I'm just going to put a bit of kohl pencil in my eyes and sort of my waterline, that sort of thing. So yeah, for me, guys, those are 3 things that I need to work on, and my best, I can do a more in-depth video of this because I feel like I've been a bit distracted, to be fair. Yeah, so like, I am absolutely not there at all with treatment. I feel like I've been through probably something that has made me want to change more than anything ever before. Sorry, I'm just waiting for my eyelashes to dry. I think I'm going to leave it there, guys, because I've been talking for such a long time. I am not interested Not looking forward, sorry, to editing this video a bit later on. So yeah, this is the finished look. Hopefully it looks okay. Been a bit distracted. I love this pigment. Love it. Beautiful. So yeah, let me know if you want me to do any work in progress videos where I sort of talk you through what I've been trying and different tactics and stuff, and by no means I'm going to tell you that I've healed myself, because I haven't. So yeah, but I hope you've enjoyed watching. If this is something that you're watching because you're going through it yourself and you're a bit unsure, please do message me. Like, I know this more than I know anything else in the world. Knowledge is power, and knowing more about whatever you're going through actually gives you a lot of power and control over whatever it is that you're facing. And mindfulness as well. So be aware of some of the tactics, and I'll leave some links down below that have helped me in the past and the things that are sort of stuck in there. So yeah, it's a long way up, but we're up. We're getting up. It's fine. Yeah, so have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I shall see you in my next one. Bye!